are so pretty, 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 pretty. Baby girl, you are so pretty, 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 pretty.
It's literally so freaking hot right now, so if you can hear the air, just like ignore that. Anyways, hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I thought I'd make a very short and sweet video on how I became a medical biller and coder. Just going through my process, my education, and a little bit of advice for anyone who is thinking of going into medical billing and coding, or if you're just somebody who is going into school in the next semester and you're a little bit lost, just helping you navigate that a little bit. So, starting off, I didn't know what medical billing and coding was. Like, growing up, I never was like, "Ooh, I want to be a coder." Like, that was never in my brain. My career journey started with me wanting to be a surgeon. Okay, so I watched Grey's Anatomy at like age 12. Should I have been watching Grey's Anatomy? Probably not. Was it tea? Absolutely. So, started watching Grey's Anatomy and I was like, I want to be a surgeon. Then I actually got into high school, and my school was an academy, so you had to choose what field you wanted to go into before you even started high school. So of course I was like, health, duh. Went to the health academy, and all of my classes were focused on the medical field, right? So we had a forensics class, forensic science. I took an EMT class, literally where at the end you could be EMT, but I actually did not become an EMT after that. So yeah, my whole life was medicine focused. Like, medicine is my passion, it's my love language, that kind of thing. And then when I actually started getting towards the end of high school, pick a career, figure it out, like no real guidance, because one of my counselors left, and then the other counselor got pregnant and left. So we really had no guidance at all. And I said to myself, okay, I'll be a physician's assistant, because I want to be a surgeon. I was like, that's way too much schooling. Then I wanted to be an anesthesiologist, and I was like, oh, that's way too much, like science and numbers, too much. So then I said, okay, physician's assistant, I feel like that's something that I could attain. Went to university for that, for about a year. And then I ended up dropping out because the cost was too much, being away from my family was too much. It was all just weighing me down. So I actually ended up dropping out of school and said, okay, well, I have to do something. So then I decided to become a massage therapist, because it was minimal schooling. I could pay for it out of pocket. Me and my husband, boyfriend at the time, actually, he literally helped me pay for my massage school. And I was there 8 hours every day. So I was doing full-time schooling and part-time working. So the only way I could pay my bills, again, was because of my husband. So that was a very strenuous process in my life. I actually completed massage therapy school and got into the field, decided that I actually did not like that. It was just a little bit too much. A lot of clients would throw their trauma onto you, and I'm not a social worker. Like, I never wanted to go into that kind of thing. So it just wasn't for me. And a lot of other issues that I was having with certain companies. So I left that career, and then I went back to school. So I enrolled in a community college, and I told myself, okay, like, you have a couple of options, because girl, you're bouncing all around. So that's just to say that, like, no one's process is linear. Like, if you're going to college and you're like, I want to get a bachelor's degree, and it takes you 70 years for that, like, that's okay. No one's process is linear. No one knows what they're doing. Everyone's just like bouncing around until they find what fits. Okay, so no pressure, guys. Then after that, I decided to enroll in radiology school. So radiology technology school. I want to be a rad tech, which is very popular right now, that and sonography. And I was having this inner battle with myself. I had about 3 options. I wanted to do radiology, sonography, or go into medical billing and coding. So I applied to go to radiology school after I did all my prerequisites, and there were a lot of cons to the program just because of the time constrictions. Like, I literally had to pay rent. Like, I had to pay my bills. I wasn't just a college student who lived with their parents like everybody else. I had a very different school process. So I didn't think that I'd be able to do clinicals full time and work full time. So what I ended up doing, because I had like a lot of stress and pressure on myself, I just decided to write it all out to make more sense to me. So I did a pros and cons list of radiology school and sonography school versus medical billing and coding school. And by the end of it, I found that there were more pros to medical billing and coding than the two imaging degrees, because those are degrees and radiology was a certificate, so it'd be less schooling, was one of the pros. There were other pros and cons for both of them. Of course, I'm not going to go through the whole process because you'd have your own pro and con list. It depends on your life, of course. So decided that I didn't want to do that, enrolled into medical billing and coding school. And one thing I learned enrolling into that is that I actually would have enough credits to get an associate's degree, which is what the radiology and sonography are. They're both associate's degrees. So I'd still have my associate's degree. It would just be in general studies with like a minor in medical billing and coding. So decided to go for that. The first semester was very interesting because I've been in the medical field my entire life, but it was a completely different concept, literally. So I've never coded before, except for one time I coded a video game for like this summer program type of thing. That's the only coding I've ever done. And that kind of coding, computer coding and medical coding, are completely different, right? So the first semester was very hard just because I had to get the gist of exactly what was going on, of course. And I did struggle a lot. Okay, I'm not gonna lie to you guys, I did struggle a lot. After the first semester, the second semester, I felt more confident, but that confidence quickly blew away because so much was going on. I was working full-time at a job I did not like, and we did not have any more meetings with the classes. So the first semester we would meet online. I think it was once or twice a week, depending on what classes you're in. The second semester we didn't meet at all. You were literally thrown to the wolves. We were literally on our own. So I had one friend from the first semester. We were both actually massage therapists, so that's why we got along. And I was like trying to do study times with her while working full time, and we have different schedules. So it was a very hard thing. So I would rely a lot on her and then trying to get in contact with my teacher. So here we come to my professor. She was very useless in my opinion. She did not help me succeed at all. All of my successes were my own, of course. I would email her certain questions about maybe an exam we did or just an assignment. I would email her asking questions about, oh, why did I get this wrong? Or can we do like maybe a one-on-one study time? And she would ignore me. And I get like professors have a lot of students, they have a lot of responsibilities, but it seemed to be just me because I would actually ask that friend in my class to email her the same question and she would get a response within the hour. So it just felt like my teacher kind of singled me out as like, I don't know, like a black sheep or something, very strange. And another thing that I really struggled with the second semester is inpatient coding. So inpatient coding was a completely different book and set of coding rules and guidelines than CPT coding and HCPC coding and diagnosis. So it was a completely different thing, and I really struggled with it because I could not get the process. I could not get the process. So I'd get questions wrong and I would try and figure out how to get them correctly, and my teacher was no help with that. And inpatient coding is something that everyone in my class actually struggled with, and we all felt like the teacher didn't really explain it well to us, which is very strange as a professor. If your entire class is having an issue with literally one topic, wouldn't you think to focus more on that topic or give more examples or explanations or anything that literally help us out? So by the middle of the second semester, I realized that my teacher was no help, and that if I wanted to be where I wanted to be, get there as soon as possible, I had to make a game plan. So I did just that. And oh my God, the lighting just changed. And what I did was I told myself, okay, you need a new job. You need to pass your CPC exam, which is the certification that I went for. And you need to graduate. So I actually had one semester left after the second semester, but I decided that I would not take that semester because I actually didn't need it to get my associate's degree. I also did not need it to take the CPC exam. So in my head, I felt it would be better to finish earlier than later and have to continue to deal with professors that I felt were just very unhelpful, right? So I made the game plan and I told myself that I have to study every single day for X amount of hours on specifically the CPC exam. So what I did is I actually would get home, do all of my homework within the first 3 days of the week, right? So I tried to get all my homework done before Wednesday. I had 3 classes, try to get all it done by Wednesday. The rest of the week would be studying, right? So I bought the CPC exam study guide from AAPC because that's the organization that I wanted to take my certification from. So whatever certification you're trying to get, I would follow the study guides, study tips, practice exams, etc. from that organization so you can learn how to pass that exam. So everything I did correlated to AAPC. I got the AAPC CPC study guide, and I also got, there's an app called Pocket Prep for the CPC exam. I also got that. I paid $15 for that for 1 month. That's how long I studied for, 1 month for the exam. If you're going to study more than that, you can, of course, take longer. But I told myself I want to be done by this point for each thing. So I got the Pocket Prep, and I would do a practice exam, I think at least 2 a week. I try to do 2 practice exams a week. And then I also finished the CPC study guide. So it's a fairly small book of just practice questions and then 2 practice exams, right? But I feel like Pocket Prep is what helped me the most, and I also felt like the questions on there were very similar to the actual questions on the exam. So I highly recommend that. I'm not sponsored. If you don't want to pay for it, you absolutely don't have to, but I just felt like that was something necessary for my success. And then one last thing is I watch a lot of YouTube videos. So I will put up here somewhere all the YouTubers who I watch to help me study for about a month. I even asked my teacher if I could take all the exams earlier so I could be done earlier. She wrote me a very snarky email response. I don't know what I expected. Basically said no. So did all my studying, took my exams, passed all my exams, and then I applied for the CPC exam. And I was so nervous. I kept thinking, like, should I push it back? Should I push it back? But I really wanted to get all of my steps done, basically. And during this entire process, I was applying to medical billing jobs, mostly medical billing because I've heard that it's easier to get into billing than coding, which I would say is very true because I actually ended up getting a billing job before I finished school. So if you are looking to get into medical billing and coding as a career, I would start off trying to get into billing just because it is an easier foot in the door than just going straight into coding. I think eventually I will get a coding job in the future, for far future, because it does pay more, which is another pro. So billing does pay less than coding, if you didn't know. And another thing that pays really well from what I've seen is auditors. So anyone who audits claims or adjusts claims also get paid very well. And I've started to adjust claims at my current position, and it's not that hard from what I've seen. So that's another thing that I'd be interested in going into. There are a lot of interests that I have, but I guess I'll get to that at the end of where I see my career going. So for now, I got my medical billing job before I finished school and before I took my CPC exam. So I let her know, of course, that I am still in school. I have about, I think at the time it was 2 months left of school, and I was planning to take my exam in 2 months. right? So I let them know all of that information beforehand. I let them know my background in medicine, all of it. And what I ended up doing is I got the job, I finished my finals, and then I took my exam. And it was all back to back to back. So very stressful. If you do want to create a game plan, I would say create it and stick with it, because it really worked out for me. So I ended up passing my finals, and then I took my CPC exam, and I was so nervous the day of my exam, guys. I literally posted this on TikTok, but I forgot my coding books. I literally forgot all of them. Got all the way there. She's like, hey, do you have your books? Forgot them, had to drive all the way back home, grab them. I thought I was gonna be late for my test. I thought that they were gonna cancel my exam. Like, I had so many worries. And the entire time I was taking the exam, because they did let me take it, I was so stressed out. I kept thinking that I'm gonna fail because I was so anxious. I took the exam, and about 4 hours after taking the exam, I learned that I passed the exam on the first try. And I was so relieved, because it was like all the stresses and all the things that I had to do to get to this point, just like, it was so worth it, you know? So I absolutely do believe that getting a medical billing and coding certificate is worth it. I got my CPC, which is coding professional, certified coding professional. There are a lot of different certificates that you can go into. I would look into careers and see what exactly they're looking for. So when I looked at different jobs, they were looking for a CPC, which is what I have, a CCS, and a RIT. I think it's called a RIT or a RIT, RHIT. And I think for that one, that's more for auditors, I believe. But of course, do your own research, figure out what is best for you. You can also get a billing certificate. You can also get a coding and billing certificate, which is what one of my coworkers has. Like, there's so many ways that you can go. So just figure out what would be best for you, what you want, and create a game plan and just literally stick to it. So after all of that, I was in my medical billing and coding job. So far, I've been here for about, I think, 4 months, and I really enjoy billing, actually. Like, it's completely different from any other job that I've ever had, and I really enjoy the process, and it's not something that really stresses me out like other jobs I've had in the past, and it's not like manual labor like some of the jobs I've had in the past. One issue I do have with it is that it is like messing up my wrist. I have to come home every day and ice my wrist and like massage them, that kind of thing. So if you want me to make a video on how to treat your wrist after working on computers all day, I can definitely make that type of video, since I do have a massage therapy license and I have a lot of holistic tips and tricks that I do for myself, like with the back pain as well that you can get from sitting in chairs all day. I can definitely make a video like that. If you guys are interested in that, just let me know. But that was my medical billing and coding journey. And now I currently see in the future, I would love to either get a certification in specifically OBGYN, which is what I wanted to do from the very start. I just have like this, I don't know, this want to be in the OBGYN field. Maybe it's because I'm a Black woman in America, but I think that that's something very interesting that I want to go into, and one of my coworkers does specialize in that, so if I can learn that from her, that'd be really amazing. And to be able to learn those codes and build those codes, it's just, OBGYN when I was in school was so hard to me to code, because you don't just have one person, you literally have 2+ people that you're coding for. And it's very hard to grasp the concept from what I can see, but I would love to finally get a certification in that, or just learn it and have it in my back pocket. Another thing I'd be very interested in getting is understanding how to bill dental claims, which we do have a dental biller. I would love to learn that as well. But in the future, I do see myself either specializing in one of those areas, or possibly even going back to school for a HIT degree, Health Information Technology degree, because that would be the next step, getting a bachelor's in that. School is so hard, and I really don't want to go back because of all the negative experiences I've had at my university and at my community college. But it's something that is in the back of my mind, like going for that bachelor's degree. It is in the back of my mind. Don't know if I'll do it, just putting that out in the air. So getting into that, and also staying at a position that pays me what I am worth, of course. So whether that's moving in a couple of years into auditing or adjusting, or getting that bachelor's degree and moving into maybe manager roles, like managerial roles, or leading a team, that kind of thing. Those are all my next steps in my career, but these are like goals for, I don't know, 5-10 years from now. That's where I see myself. Or just moving into a coding position, going from billing to coding, because from what I can see, coding isn't that hard. It's just very specific. Of course, it's very precise. With billing, it's also precise, but in a different format, of course. But yeah, I just wanted to tell you guys my medical billing and coding journey. And for anyone who's thinking about going into it, please leave any comments, questions down below. Or if you're someone who wants to go into a different field and you just want more career advice, possibly, or college advice, definitely leave that in the comments down below. I can make another college or university advice video, probably in about August, because that's when people start school or go back to school. That's when the new semester is, of course. So if you like this video, please like this video, comment and subscribe. I hope this video really helped you guys, and I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.